Another question is that which one is better when you refinancing? Should you go for the whole 100% refi, or would you rather take a HELOC? I have my own like reservation when it comes to this, but I just wanna see where like where you are, like where you are you at with this?
I would say I think there's three answers to that. So you have three different sort of scenarios or groups that you'd want to find out. As you know, as the broker, I'd want to find out what the purpose of the funds are for, right? So if you don't plan on using those funds for a while, then you may be better off with a line of credit. Because if you take that money, so let's say there's one option, line of credit. If you're not going to use the funds right away, that's a good option because you don't pay interest on it or any payment on it until you use it, right? So it'll sit there until you're ready. The second option would be to take the whole thing out in one shot. Basically, you have a deposit of $200,000 into your bank account or whatever that number is. You are going to be paying that from day one, right? So that interest you will pay on. Now, that makes sense if you were intending to use that money right away, because it's the lower rate of the two scenarios, right? You have your line of credit that's usually around prime plus a half. So that today is 2.95. Then you have, let's say, a variable, it fluctuates on the same prime rate. You're looking at about 1.5. So if you're going to use that money right away, there would be no point in you paying 2.95 when you could pay 1.5.
Right.
The third scenario would be for tax purposes. Sometimes it's easier if you're using that money to invest. If you have it separated with a line of credit, that's where, and I think we're going to probably get into that topic down the road, where you can do things like a Smith maneuver.
Yes,
you can write that interest off. So
yeah,
and it makes it easier when you separate the two for your account.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so what was when you do refinance? Yeah, so this is the question from a client that when you are refinancing it, right? Let's just say that you're in the application of taking your money out, which is your refi, and then at the same time you already have a property that you want to purchase. The question is, does your refi would have a negative effect on qualifying on the second property that you're trying to purchase?
Not necessarily. It's a case by case. You can we've done many deals where we have the refi closing a day or two before the purchase, right? So it's not often not a problem. It just depends on the situation.
It's not gonna throw off your ratio and things like that, because you're coming. The way I kind of look at it is that maybe I could be wrong. That your GDS and the TDS ratio will start to right.
That's possible. Yeah, it's possible. But yeah, we'd have to look at the debt service ratios to see how to properly plan that equity takeout and that purchase, right? I mean, if you're buying, let's say you're putting the 20% down and you're buying a full-on rental property, that rental is going to have a rental income anyway, so that's going to usually offset a lot of that debt service. So.
Right. So walk us through this TDS and the GDS ratio for the people that are watching us right now. They might not understand what this is, right? How this takes effect when they're applying for a property. Maybe you could kind of just give us a quick snippet of how this thing works and what these are. That TDS and the GDS.
Yeah, so you have gross debt service and then you have total debt service. So that's your GDS and TDS. TDS is an important one, and generally speaking, with banks, they want to see you're sitting around a 44%. So that's your income to your debt service, your debts that you have, right? So how much money you're making versus how much money you're spending between your debts and your mortgage. We have some lenders that'll go up to 44. Those are usually like your best rate kind of lenders. They're in that kind of category. Then you have, there are some lenders that'll go right up to 60. And with rates so low, even those lenders are still giving, rates somewhere in the, you're getting high 2s to mid 3s, which is still pretty pretty aggressive pricing for getting that access to that extra debt service level, which may be the difference between you getting a house that is going to pay you, maybe if it's investment property, maybe that investment property will pay you, you know, 5,000 as opposed to say 2,000 if we've got to use the other lower debt service lender, right? So we just sort of look at everything and always start with the best rate scenario, and then we sort of work our way through and try to find that right solution.
Right. Okay. So that's that, right? Now, do you believe on paying off your mortgage completely off? And you know, different people have a different thinking when it comes to should I pay my entire mortgage off, like free and clear, or should I maybe have a mortgage and instead of paying it off, use that money to buy another?
I can tell you that all of the people that I know, I literally mean pretty much everyone except for, you know, 70-year-old or 80-year-old people that have just, you know, they're at that point, right? They don't want any more debts. They're on a pension or whatever, right? But I'd say even just, you know, some of my friends who paid off their mortgages early, every one of them have taken out the maximum equity to now invest in other things, right? So if you're paying 2.5%, let's say, or 2% or 3%, whatever it is, in that range, there's so many options out there that you can access that are going to pay you. Even safe investments are going to pay you 6%, right? So it doesn't make sense, you know, like, and I'm not saying that just because I'm a mortgage broker and I want people to get mortgages. I'm saying that, like, you can honestly get, you know, more for that money than you're going to pay for that debt. Right now, rates are so low. It's the time that you want to utilize the equity that you have. This is one of those economic sort of opportunities, just like certain stock, you know, like the tech boom, right? Like this is that sort of tech boom for real estate where you need to be taking advantage of some of these opportunities that are here and that the government's allowing us to reap the benefits of, right? So this is when you make your money.
For sure, because a lot of people come to me sometimes and say, yeah, I just want to pay off my mortgage, you know, and I'll be like living happy, you know, happy once I pay off my mortgage. But in reality, it never happens, because once you take off like I would say that the most stressful things in life is your mortgage, right? Once you take that thing off your plate, then you're starting to slack off, and instead of you like, you know, making more money, you're gonna be thinking, yeah, I can afford to go to the vacation now, and you know, and next thing you know, you have this bad debt as opposed to you have this mortgage that's keeping you in line, right?
Yeah, you're right. It probably keeps some people in line too. And I mean, I would say some examples I've seen where they've paid their mortgage down, then they decide once it's paid off, we're now going to tear our old house down and build a big new one and take out $1 million and, you know, build our custom home. So I mean, you've sort of you're back to where you were before, right? It's just really it's a case by case. It's up to the person, right? If mortgage is that's their main goal to get rid of, then that's totally fine, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong, I don't think, with getting rid of a mortgage. But I do think that there's opportunities out there and safe ones that you could potentially be, you know, unlocking for yourself and for your future that could potentially have you pay your mortgage off and then also a whole pile of extra money from that investment, right? Like, I mean, with real estate, for example, if your house was 500, it's worth $1 million now, you know.
It's a huge amount of money. It's just, I mean, money is cheap, right? Cash is king, always, right?
Yeah.
The more precision you are to actually, you know, like get into something, but there's a problem, and a lot of people don't like realize that getting into a secondary property is not really that hard. People thought that you have to be like superhuman, like for you to own 3 or 4 houses, right? You know, like we've seen kids that it's a 25-year-old kid that have a whole bunch of them, right? And the only difference that what they have from us is that they're actually taking that risk, right? You know,
that's right.
Put that like risk that like other people don't want to put, right? You know, so
I think sometimes too, maybe it's yeah, you're right. Like it's the risk and the fear, right? But maybe there's opportunities with friends or family members, right? if if you have a bunch of friends with family members that own homes and they have equity, maybe they're thinking the same thing, hey, we want to set up our retirement. We don't want to work till we're 60 or 65. Let's, do something with our equity. Let's get together, the four of us or whatever it is, however many you are. And at least you're dispersing, you're spreading that risk out amongst, more people. And that way you're able to sort of take on less risk, right? And you're still able to reap those benefits down the road. Like if what's happening now in real estate continues, myself included, we're going to be kicking ourselves in the butt for not taking advantage more of what's going on, right? And I just even if we get a bit of a downturn in a year or so, once hopefully this pandemic is finished, it's going to come back up, right? There's still so much demand for what supply we have, and I think there's lots of opportunities still. So.